Hi again. In previous videos, we did talk about the supply chain management definition and the supply chain activities. And we did describe the responsibilities for supply chain manager. We also talked about some critical issues, like when we have a disruption in a supply chain, what we should do, how we could find the alternative, and how we could solve that, how we could select the best supplier. And we did talk about the importance matrix in importance and the risk matrix. And also what we did talk about is when to order and for how often we should order. So these are really important aspects that we covered in previous videos. In this video, what we'll be talking about, we will be discussing the trends in supply chain. We see a lot of trends happening in supply chain management, and we should be aware of it. One of them is measuring the rate of return on supply chain management. This is very critical, and we going to discuss this week is the supply chain management KPI, the key performance indicators, and return of investment is one of the KPI that we use to measure the effectiveness of supply chain. Another concept would be the greening the supply chain, how we could make it more sustainable, how we could make it more environment friendly. Reevaluating outsourcing. There are a lot of factors changing in the world, and in a lot of movements happening, and a lot of activities and price changes, and all these activities in the whole world requires from supply chain managers to reevaluate the outsourcing. Should we continue outsourcing, or should we do it in-house? Integrating the technology, that's another concept, how we could bring technology to supply chain management and how we could make it easier for us as a supply chain manager. Adopting lean principles, that's another concept where how we could make it more efficient, how we could make our supply chain management more efficient. Managing risk, how we could avoid any risk in the supply chain, such as the supply chain disruption. Adopting blockchain technology, that's a new technology that we start hearing about, the cryptocurrency and the bitcoins and so on, how we could securely manage these operations and these transactions between companies and organizations. Establishing transparency. Transparency is really important in supply chain because you need to build a relationship, and if you don't have a transparency, there will be no trust basically between the partners. So transparency is important to build a strong relationship with your suppliers and customers as well. Adopting new delivery method. Now we start hearing about, delivering with the drones, and we now the overnight delivery, it's not new anymore. Tracking your package is not new anymore. Everybody's using it now. We're talking about different things. Robotics, where they could deliver your package to your house in drones and so on. So there's so many things that we should be aware of. We're going to cover some of these issues here, or trends, and we need to talk about it. So next slide, we'll be talking about outsourcing. So before we go over the benefits and risk for outsourcing, we should talk about what is outsourcing, how we could make the decision to make it in-house or send it to somebody else to do it for us. So of course, outsourcing basically is instead of doing it inside your company, you ask help from somebody else to come and do it for you for money, basically. And this could be overseas, around the globe, basically, from all around the world. You could just select somebody to do it for you. And there are several reasons for that. There could be the price, the costing, could be the quality that you're looking for. Maybe you're not specialized in it, in that particular function. So you need somebody else to do it for you. In here, we're going to talk about the benefits and risks. The benefits of outsourcing: lower prices. That may result from lower labor costs in a different country, maybe. And the ability of the organization to focus on its core strength. We need to focus on core strength of the company. We don't want to distract ourselves with something that we're not going to be good at it, so we have to send it to somebody else to do it for us. Permits the conversion of some fixed cost to variable cost. So basically, we're changing from fixed costs and renting buildings and so on. We don't need that much of buildings anymore. We shifted to a variable cost, which is something that you should be happy with it, because it's as long as the customer is ordering, the customer will take care of the variable cost, or the variable cost will be covered through the sales price. It can free up capital to address other needs. You might need, expand your warehouse for something else, not just, what you used to do it and you're not good at it. So you send it to another person to do it for you. Let's say the manufacturer, they will do the manufacturing for you. You will do the design. So you free up some of that capacity that you have. Some risk can be shifted to the supplier as well. So it's, some of the risk that we see is quality assurance in the process and how we could ensure that. So that's this risk of ensuring the quality will be shifted to the supplier. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to hire a quality team or buy a special machine to ensure the quality. That's all shifted to the supplier. The ability to take advantage of suppliers' expertise, that's from my opinion, this is the most important thing, is you don't have the expertise in that area. So let's say 3D printing, you could manufacture everything, but one of the parts has to be 3D printed, and you're not good at 3D printing. So you outsource it to somebody else to do it for you, and because you don't have the expertise, so you take benefit of the supplier's expertise. Make it easier to expand outside of the home country. So another thing that because you focus on your core competency, your core business, is you now are able to expand your business to not just only your own country, but also you could expand to the global. Now, for the risk, what we could do, and the risk here about the outsourcing, and it's risky, it's not an easy thing, but we could, consider the inflexibility due to longer lead time. That may be something that you should consider as well when you make a decision for outsourcing. Increased transportation costs, that's another consideration, that because you have to pay for transportation between you and your partners. Language and cultural differences, that might be an issue as well. Loss of jobs, so inside your country, maybe you're losing some jobs in here and you give these jobs to somebody else overseas. Loss of control, that's another big issue, where you can't control anymore your business because it's all relies on your outsourcer and suppliers, and if you don't have if you don't have them, then you're out of business, basically. Lower productivity, you can't manage any productivity because it's not your work, it's your work. It depends on the other people, and then whatever their productivity is, that's going to be your productivity. Loss of business knowledge, so because of you let somebody else to take part of your business, and this, therefore you could maybe new trends that you will not be aware of, and then you lose the knowledge in your business. Knowledge transfer and intellectual property concerns, so because you want some help from the outsource supplier, what you do, you give them some blueprints and some dimensions and so on. These are basically intellectual property for you, so that you give it to somebody else, which would be used with another company maybe. So it's important, maybe you could write that in the contract, that no one can use this designs or these functions that I have in my products or service. Increase effort required to manage the supply chain. So that's also another big issue, where you have multiple parties, not just 1, 2, 3, multiple people you have to deal with. So you probably want to consider what would be the best way to manage all these people. Now, next would be the global supply chain. Now, another trend is we're seeing people going to global, and this is important because you're not competing inside your country anymore, whether you like it or not, because of the technology that we see. You could buy anything from anywhere in the world, and that's you're gonna get it within a week or two. So eventually, you are local businesses. They're not competing with local organizations and businesses anymore. They're competing globally, such as Amazon and eBay and many other websites like this. So they have to go globally in a bigger format, where they are not just only creating a website, and they have to really market themselves globally as well. So global supply chain is a product design often uses input from all around the world. So that's one important thing. If you want to go global, you have to bring input and feedback from all people from around the world. You select different cultures and ask them what they think, and this is how you design your product or service based on the interests from all cultures from around the world. Some manufacturing and services activities are outsourced to the countries where labor or material costs are lower. So that's another advantage. Maybe you could just go to another country with a cheaper labor and a cheaper material, because they're more available there than here. So that's something that you maybe need to consider to move to shift some of your activities to overseas. Product are sold globally. That's something that what your goal should be, is to sell your products globally. Complexity in supply chain. We start with a culture, different cultures here. There are so many different cultures and languages that you should be aware of, and you probably will be dealing with people from China and different or Japan, or the Middle East, or one of these countries. So you probably need somebody from that country to help you with their language and culture. Currency fluctuation, that's another important issue. There is no fixed rate for currencies. It's based on supply and demand, and these currencies will increase or decrease. The value of these currencies will increase or decrease, and so there's an issue here that we should be aware of, and have it on the contract. How would you deal with the currency exchange when you compete globally? Political instability. There's so many things and events happening around the world where people are trying to fight for their rights, and there are so many political movements going around the world, and that will bring instability to the country. And imagine that if you have instability in your country, that means that the businesses are risky over there. So that might be an issue and complex things that you should consider. Increased transportation costs. Of course, there is a need for transporting the products with a raw material or finished product from one place to another. So that's when you go globally, you have to go and increase the transportation cost. Increased needs for trust among supply chain partners. Though that's also another important issue, how we could improve the trust in supply chain partners. We need to have transparency and clear goals, establish common goals between us and our partners, and this way we gain trust. All right, now moving into the ERB, the technology. Now, technology, it's amazing. Where make it easier and helpful for people, especially supply chain managers. One of the technology that we install in companies, it's called the ERB, or Enterprise Resource Planning. And what it does basically will keep you up to date with inventory information, with suppliers information. We'll send you messages, we'll send you emails about whenever you have a low supplies and so on. So here are some of the things that you will see in an ERB. You will be able to manage the relationship with your suppliers. You will have the tools and functions to manage the performance of your team and your company. And also you could be able to monitor the sales and orders and order fulfillment. So that's a great thing that you could see. You don't have to manually do it, but the ERB will do it for you and send you the report by the end of the day or whenever you ask. Another thing that we need to move on is the logistics, but that's going to be in a different video. So I'm going to stop the video right here, and then we will make another video on logistics and the trends in logistics.